I know people are saying that, oh my God, Ben Simmons to the Nets, that's Fugazi, he can't shoot. You have to replace the James Harden scoring trio. James Harden, you have to replace him with a scorer, especially a shooter. You can't put a non-shooter. That's all cap tackler, right? So let's actually dissect into what I mean and why Ben Simmons is actually a perfect fit for the Nets, right? People are looking at the trio and isolating the trio with James Harden instead of looking at the team as a full and when they're at their best versions of themselves, right? So yes, like game 4 with the, versus the Celtics, that was even without Jaylen Brown. It was 140 to like 130 something. It wasn't a hella blowout or like 20 point game, whatever. But that was their best scoring output that they had with James Harden. But if you look at it, James Harden was 9 for 12. He didn't take that many shots and he had 18 assists or something like that. So James Harden essentially with the trio is not the James Harden you see with just KD or with just Kyrie. It's actually a playmaking version of Harden. Why? It's not because, Kyrie and KD are selfish and whatever, and it's Kyrie's team or it's KD's team. It's not because of that. What it is that they all know the skill set. The skills are unmatched with KD and Kyrie that James Harden, because he scores in one-dimensional type of way, which I'll explain, he has to sacrifice the most and become a more superior playmaker, right? With the trio. We're not talking about without or whatever. We're just talking about with the trio. If you look with the trio, James Harden normally shoots the least and he actually sacrifices the most, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, you have to understand that James Harden scores in his one-dimensional way. Off the screen, slow tempo, slow walk, bring it up. Off the screen with clacks or whatever big that's playing, and he da-da-da-da-da. It don't work. Get the switch, get the mismatch, bring it out, da-da-da-da-da, and he'll pass late in the clock, and KD or Kyrie, Joe Harris, whatever, has to get a bucket with a late clock scenario, and especially KD and Kyrie are elite like that they can. But for the most part, it's a slow tempo offense, right? With the trio, what people are seeing, even like that game 4 with the Clips, when Kyrie brings it up in transition, they score, or they're more high up tempo. Like if he gets a rebound, push. Or KD gets a rebound, push. Or KD and Kyrie are running the actions and Harden is spotting up. But that is an anomaly or low. It's not the majority. The majority is Harden is running the ball and he's da-da-da-da-da. Especially this doesn't show you possessions they don't score, right? Only shows you possessions they score. James Harden, for the most part, is da-da-da-da, step back, da-da-da-da. He's trying to run his actions, and then KD and Kyrie are spotting up, right? That's what's happening for the most part for majority of the offense. It's a slow tempo game. When Harden sits out, then you get the high up tempo with KD and Kyrie are both in, right? And people aren't dissecting it to that actual level. They're just overall looking at everything and seeing, they scored this amount with Harden there. This is the max output. During that 140, Kyrie had 39 and KD had 42. James Harden had 23. Understand why is that? So Harden had 23 and 18. You're telling me Ben Simmons can't pure play make in this offense? You got to understand, this offense it's more similar to the Warriors offense, right? Joe Harris is moving like Clay. Patty Mills, Shamet was also moving like Clay, but Patty Mills is an upgrade from the Shamet, right? They're running those actions again. If it don't work, flare screen, down screen, come off the pin down, come off the curl. If it don't work, then you go to the KD pin down. You go to the Kyrie, and their ability, they can move like Joe Harris, KD, and Kyrie, but they can also run the PNR and ISO, pull and drop coverages. Like, they can score an unlimited amount of ways where James Harden can't. It's his one-dimensional way. He'll step back midi here and there, catch and shoot here and there because the clock is dying. But for the most part, it's KD and Kyrie that can score in an unlimited way. So if you see that, which is why versus the Bucks in game 2, which was a blowout versus an elite, healthy team that ended up winning the chip, but just without Harden, what was happening? The actions, the flow, the offensive flow was actually at its max version. With KD and Kyrie, the ball movement, they can score in any way. They can come off a curl and shoot. Come off a curl, pump fake, one dribble pull. Like, they can do all of that. So that's their maximized best version. Remember, versus the Celtics, Harden and them, they were doing a lot of one-on-one. That was even the complaint. Yes, they're elite at it, but that was the complaint. They had to do a lot of one-on-one because it all stems from the Harden's PNR. And then that creates the one-on-one because you switch and Harden is getting it and then he's passing to guys and they have the one-on-one in those scenarios. That's what the majority of the offense was. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you have to look at it and say, okay, if I insert Ben Simmons now, he will be like Draymond Green to the Warriors at a 3 times version because more athletic, better perimeter defense, maybe not interior, but better perimeter defense, and the playmaking is even better, and he's more athletic, and he scores more than Draymond even without shooting. You don't need to shoot to score. That's what I was trying to say. You need to shoot if you're hindered because the paint is clogged, and now you need to shoot and you look fugazi, but you don't need to if you're playing with the perfect personnel. And Ben Simmons with KD and Kyrie is the perfect personnel because imagine pin down, Ben is setting the pin down, or let's say Kyrie setting the pin down and Ben is playmaking, you get what I'm saying, and you pass it to that, or even Ben is setting the pin down, Kyrie's bringing it up, and then now you try, drop coverage are even more, they will happen more because now when you step up, you can't just switch with Ben and Kyrie, or Ben and KD, because when you switch, it's a bigger mismatch, or Ben is slipping that, and he's such a lob threat, you can't just switch that, you gotta be, you know what I mean, if you try to switch, it's gotta be perfect. You're going to create more because they don't want to switch because you want maybe the bigs guarding Ben. You don't want him in the scenario. So then what happens? More drop coverage, more skilled ability for the other guys. And then not only that, you're seeing handoffs with Ben and maybe Joe Harris, handoffs with Ben and Patty Mills. Like he can operate in this offense easily. Literally how Draymond operates at a higher version. And not only that, his defense capabilities is 10 times better than Harden. So it's the way they play. It's not, you can't dissect this from just looking at the names of Harden, the names of, Harden scoring and whatever. The scoring Harden you think you know or that you're used to is not the scoring Harden with the trio. He's more of a playmaker. He still scores here and there and step back here and there, but it's not what's happening at a guaranteed version. It's more so KD and Kyrie are the scorers and Harden is playmaking in these scenarios. But the point is their max version of the Nets is not just about the scoring, it's how they score. The max version of the Nets is high octane, high up tempo, scoring in all ways ability. Harden cancels that and he's counterproductive into that. Harden is just da-da-da-da-da. Ben Simmons, you will live in that play style forever. Even if Ben Simmons is not scoring, you'll always live in that high octane offense play style, and that will maximize the team as a whole, as opposed to the Harden play style. That's why even though they were beating Boston 4-1, what happened? There was no Jaylen Brown, and they still were allowing bare buckets. Remember, their offense output. They had that one game that they snapped like that, but for the most part, it's a lot of one-on-one. And because they're elite like that, they could do that, obviously. But wouldn't you have them live in the better play style that slapped the Bucks, which is a better team than the Boston Celtics, which is the actions are being used all times? That's what they're trying to do. And that's where they can, okay, let's hear it out. Because the Harden you're getting is the playmaking Harden. You're not getting 30-point per game Harden. You know what I'm saying? So that's where you got to look at it from that perspective and dissect it from that angle. And that's where you see Ben Simmons is the perfect match made in heaven for the Nets. And on the flip side, Harden, his slow tempo, slow walk, PNR, get mismatch and whatever, fits the Sixers perfectly with him and Embiid. They can do that all day. And if it doesn't work, you got a mismatch on the block. You got a mismatch up top. Or if they help, you got shooters. It's a win-win for both teams. If you really look at it from actually basketball, watching the actions perspective. That's what I'm about.